What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this POV review by AutoTopNL. My name is Martin, and today I am in Sardinia to test and film this all-new Lamborghini Huracan Tecnica. I couldn't believe what Lamborghini did when they released this, because I thought, just like you, oh, another Huracan, really? After the STO that came out just nearly a year ago. But there have been so many changes, and that's because Lamborghini loves this car, the customers love the car, and they want to keep it in production for as long as possible, because naturally aspirated V10, successor to the Huracan, will not have that lovely beautiful engine. So I really like the fact that they have given it one more upgrade, one more update. It's quite a large one, quite literally, because the car is 6 centimeters larger than a normal Huracan. So you can also see that in the front section. It's got an entirely new front end design derived from the new Evo 2 racing car from Lamborghini. You can see all the Ys and the triangles, and it's just such an aggressive car now. It already was a super aggressive car, but I think with this new Y section it looks a lot wider and even more like inwards, you know. It's like very aggressive, shark-like, sharp angles in the front. I really like that. And the frunk of the Huracan has been changed once more, because we have the normal aluminium unit for the normal Huracans. Then came the STO, which got the single piece carbon thing, and this has a new carbon fiber frunk. So it's a lot like the STO, but it doesn't have all the carbon aerodynamics and the body panels. So that's the biggest difference, because in there, the engine, the 5.2 V10, is still that lovely 640 horsepower unit. And it does look very new and modern when you get back here, because as I said, it's 6 centimeters longer. It's got a new diffuser, it's got a new, I'm going to call it the engine bay cover, but it's more flat and it's fully made out of carbon fiber, and it's 10 kilos lighter than a normal Evo rear-wheel drive. So this sits in between the Evo rear-wheel drive and the STO. Now, aero has always been a very important subject when it came to the ultimate Huracans, the Performante with the ala system. Well, the STO speaks for itself when it comes to aero, and yet again, it's all about aero. So we have this massive air ducts back here to direct hot air out of there, and we have these new things right there. We have air ducts right there to cool the rear brakes, and we have some flaps right there to cool the front brakes. So it's all newly developed for yet again a Huracan, but I can just applaud them for doing this. This is such a bold move to make this amount of an investment for such an old model, because it's been around for 8 years now. So for me, this is the Huracan I've always wanted. It's the 640 horsepower unit, which is just a lot more special than the 610 or even the 580, because when the Huracan came out, you got a 610 four-wheel drive unit, or afterwards a two-wheel drive 580 horsepower unit. And then the biggest upgrade in the Huracan's life came with the Performante, which got the new engine that also sits in there with the 640 horsepower. And that's when the Huracan really stepped away from its brother at Audi, the R8 V10 Plus. This is also cool, these new hexagonal designed exhausts, and it's actually not only the design that's new, it's also the sound. They've made it quieter at lower RPM and more high-pitched at higher RPM compared to the STO. And that's because they want this to be daily capable. You know, they're not going to claim that this is a daily, it's not. But if you want, you can daily this. And for me, this is the best Huracan there is, because as I said, you want that 640 horsepower unit, so that means Performante, STO, Evo or this. Now, why don't you get the Performante? because I think four-wheel drive just ruins it for me. So then we have 3 left. The STO, which is also gone because that thing is just made for the track and it has a license plate to go to the track and from the track, nothing else. So that leaves us with the 640 horsepower Huracan Evo, but that's only available as four-wheel drive, because when you get the Evo with two-wheel drive, you drop down in power with 610 horsepower. So I think this is the best looking Huracan. Drivetrain wise, it's the nicest one with the rear wheel drive and the 640 horsepower. So it does have rear wheel steering and newly calibrated electronics to help you manage the power, but it's so much fun and it's such a capable car. Even though it's only two-wheel drive, it really is a lot of fun. And the fact that when you pull it all the way through the revs and it's like a bit dusty on the road, it like plays around and all the electronics handle crisis situations, let's call it that, and you just have so much more fun and you're just so much more involved than with the four-wheel drive unit. And that's also because we have lost a drive shaft, we have lost a diff. That means it's 43 kilos lighter than a four-wheel drive version. And I also like this little sticker, this little plaque, the LP640-2. That means Lamborghini power, 640 horsepower, two-wheel drive. And Lamborghini is such a fan of this engine that when the new emissions regulations came out, Audi decided to put an OPF filter on this engine. And we all know the new Audi R8, the facelifted version, doesn't sound as good as the old version, and that's because of those OPF filters. Now Lamborghini went another design, so they use both port injection and direct injection to lower emissions, and they don't have to use an OPF for this crazy 5.2 liter V10 naturally aspirated. I mean, that's nothing short of a miracle in terms of engineering. What a great job by Lamborghini, and again it like pulls away from its Audi baby brother. Really like that. The firing order of the V10, 16510273849. Maybe that's Lamborghini's phone number. Now this is spec'd in blue notte, which is Italian for blue night, and what an awesome color this is. It's part of the classic range at Lamborghini, and I think I once saw, like early childhood, a Lamborghini Diablo in this beautiful color, and it really throws me back to my childhood days. So in the interior we have these sport seats. Let me turn this off. Partly carbon fiber, very good adjustability, very good support, but comfortable. Now you can get this like STO spec'd in the interior, but you really shouldn't, because you then get the full carbon fiber door and more carbon fiber over there. But you know, that's for me too hardcore. I really like this more luxurious design in the interior with the contrast stitching, matte carbon fiber, unlacquered, really beautiful. And what's also cool is that titanium roll cage and the optional camera system for when you go on track, and you get this beautiful overlay of all your info that you want on a track. And of course it's got the new infotainment system by Lamborghini for the Huracan that was released with the Huracan Evo. So this is a small display that combines with that huge display at the dials, and this also supports Apple CarPlay. So a very good update, and it just sits here beautifully in this marina. Lovely spec, also with the center lock wheels, and even the wheels remind me of a Diablo. I just love this. It also comes standard with these carbon ceramic brakes, which are just lovely. A lot of feel, they never fade. I do think the tires let it down a bit, because we did a 0 to 100 measurement, which it should do in 3.2 seconds, but it did a 3.6. And I think it's because of the tires, and if you would fit like a Trofeo R on here, it would definitely do that 3.2. Top speed, by the way, is 325, which is a lot more than the STO, which does 310, and that's because of all the aero, like pushing it down, but also making it less fast, a lot of drag at top speed. Now I forgot to mention, this is a new rear wing, specially made for the Tecnica, and it offers 35% more downforce than a Huracan Evo, which is quite nice when you have all that power going to the rear wheels. So, enough talking, let's get driving. Flip the classic switch doesn't make any sense because you can also start it up without doing that, but it does add to the dramatic character of the Huracan and Lamborghini in general. So welcome to day 2 of Huracan Tecnica, and they have surprised me with this. I get to drive the STO again, and after that we are going to switch to that Tecnica, so I can really tell the differences driving wise. Well, when it comes to the looks, the differences are very obvious. I mean, the STO is all about the carbon fiber, as you can see, and aerodynamics, and it's all about downforce. That's the main subject, and it's just an awesome car. These carbon fiber fenders with the air ducts, that just looks awesome. And as you know, this is one big piece of carbon fiber and it opens up clamshell style. Looks absolutely awesome. We have the Super Trofeo air intake on top of that, and this air blade that you also see on like hypercars like Koenigsegg's. That is such a cool look, and especially in this color, Viola Passiva. Okay, all the Italians are laughing at me right now, but I don't care, I tried. It's really nice that we can now set a benchmark for the Tecnica with this STO. What an awesome spec. That's so cool with Lambo. You can go as crazy as you want without it getting over the top. There is no over the top at Lambo. I really like that. It wears every suit, and that's such a cool thing about Lambos. Now, as I said, this is day 2. Day 1 we ended with the Tecnica at the marina in the bay, and after that we went to a restaurant with the other journalists, and it was such a nice restaurant in the middle of nowhere on a lovely hilltop, and there was like a nice breeze, a wind, and we got a nice glass of Prosecco on this beautiful field or garden with a center round bar in there, and they made the best pork in Italy, in my opinion. It was just lovely. And this morning we got to experience what the ad personam division of Lambo can do. So that's the department where you go when you want like a super individualized spec with special wishes and stuff like that. And it was just amazing what these guys can do, the possibilities that they offer. And after that we went to lunch at the sea, of course a bit of fish. Again, it was such a nice place to eat, and if you're here in Sardinia, really go check them out because it's just a lovely place. Now here we are after lunch with the surprise of today, the STO. Let's just get driving. It is so quiet out here. Really like that. Now, the spec on the interior, you've just seen the Tecnica. This is with all the matte carbon and the door handles, a bit more sporty, a bit more hardcore. But as I said, you can get all this on the Tecnica, even the carbon fiber footrest. So I'm going to leave the windows open so that we can get some cool air in here for the cameras, because it's 38 degrees outside. That's insane. I'm going to go for manual mode. Now we have 3 different modes in the STO: STO, Trofeo and Pioggia. And STO is like the street and sporty setup. There is no comfort or normal setup, just sporty, track and wet. And these are 3 different modes than you find in the Tecnica. Okay, let's get driving. I haven't seen anyone go past me, so there should be a nice gap in front of me. And why not just start with a launch control? So I think Trofeo, ESC off. Let's give that a try. Yeah. Now tell me that's not the best sound and fun you've ever had. And that's all because we only have two-wheel drive, and you can just hear that we have like a little bit of wheel spin, and the sound of that loss of traction combined with that V10, it's just amazing. Now, as I said, this is just going to be a benchmark test. So when I get into the Tecnica, I'll compare the two. Man, this thing is so impressive. And this road, as you can see, it's not the best quality wise, and I'm even in Trofeo mode, but the suspension is just coping with it. It's not getting unsettled, it's not busy. That is so impressive. And you would expect this car to be super hard and uncomfortable, but when you look at it, because it looks like a track focused weapon, which it is, but it's surprisingly drivable, approachable and comfortable. Now, with all that carbon fiber, this is like 80 kilograms lighter than the Tecnica, because we have carbon fiber body panels, and that just makes a whole lot of difference. And before I forget, the launch control I just did, that was a 3.2 second run. That was what we recorded with the STO 0 to 100, and with the Tecnica we did a 3.6. There is 0.4 of a second a difference, which is pretty weird considering they have the same power. Okay, this is where it gets really bad. The road is, let's switch to STO mode, Super Trofeo Omologato, and you immediately feel the damper softening, and it becomes even more composed and comfortable. Steering gets a bit lighter, which I actually prefer, but maybe that's because I own Ferraris and that's the king of light steering and direct steering, so maybe that's why I prefer this lighter setting in STO mode. Now, I love the fact that when you drive a car like this in this area, there's the Tecnica, the people just love it. They take pictures, they want you to rev it, they want you to go launch control, and that is different when you drive these cars in the Netherlands or in Germany, because people tend to not like you. But there's just a sense of pride when they see these cars and they're like, yeah, that's what we did, you know. And I really like that mentality. I even had an entire family coming out of their house, like kids, grandparents, the parents, and just enjoying the sound of this mighty V10, which in a few years we are going to really miss. So get your Huracan V10 while you can. What are we going to do here? Thank you so much, guys. Italians, I love you, and your food and everything about you. Thank you. Oh, this is a lovely bit of road. Let's give this a try. Echoing off the walls is the stuff dreams are made of. The carbon ceramics doing their work in a nice and aggressive fashion. You have a lot of pedal feel, and because of all the clever aero, the brakes never get hot, so you have full brake performance all the time. And the way this car just shrieks around you, it's absolutely magical. When they get hot, man, they stick. Okay, so let's go to the meeting point and switch to the Tecnica. So I just finished my run with the STO, with a few other STOs and a Tecnica. It's just incredible. I found the best road in Sardinia by accident, by going off route, and what a combination of car and country. Magnificent. So you join me on the beautiful road again, and now with the Huracan Tecnica. And this is grigio artist in matte finish. So yet another cool spec. It's less cool than the blue Notte, I think, but also a beautiful design. Really like that blue brake caliper with the center lock wheels. And what's also new with the Tecnica is that you can get half of this in black. You can get the tailpipes in different finishes as well, which is also quite special. You can get the spoiler in black, which I prefer over the body color. And this right here is now matte black. This comes as standard, like the under panels of the car. And these inserts, stuff like this. This is optional in carbon fiber. But you can get all that in high gloss black, which I think looks a bit better. And what's also new is that you can get this striping on the side, like with the Gallardo Superleggera. You can really tell the flow into this huge air duct right here when you have that. But enough about all the specs. Let's just get driving, because the Huracan STO is fresh in my mind. It's top of mind. And this Tecnica has to live up to that. Well, it has to like give me 80% of the experience. That's how reviewers call it. Some even say they don't notice any differences when it comes to driving. So I'm really curious what it will be like on this beautiful road. Man, I love it. We are in Corsa mode, but let's start in Strada. Now you immediately notice it's just quite a lot softer and more comfortable, less communicative, especially the front axle. It's just more comfort, less feel, less feedback. Now let's go to Corsa, and then we have to manually shift gears, which I don't mind, because the gearbox is just perfect. So they have the same gearbox and engine software. So drivetrain wise they are identical. But when it comes to the handling, they are far from identical. And for you this might seem like the same experience, but for me, I feel the car through my seat, through the steering wheel, and it's totally different. We don't have that hardcore dedicated sharpness that you get with the STO. It also seems a little less quick in the steering, but that could be because of the softer setup. There's just this bit of woolliness in the center that you don't have with the STO. And the entire car is just handling wise, just less exciting, I have to say, but for the public roads, this probably is the better car because you don't have that massive arrow that a lot of people may find over the top and too much, if there is such a thing with a Lambo. But I can't imagine that you go for this. It's a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper. It's like 65,000 euros. And when you look at the specs and the speed and the performance, you might think, wow, that's a lot of money for a car that on paper doesn't do anything extra, but in reality, in my opinion, it's actually worth the extra 65,000. But you cannot get an STO, you cannot get a Tecnica. Well, maybe on the second-hand market, but both of them have been sold out. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame, but if you manage to find either one of these, I'd say go for the STO. Even though the Tecnica is in between the Evo and the STO, and all the reviews say it's more towards the STO, but it's more towards the Evo. I honestly think that. Difference is that front axle. With the STO, the turn in, the sharpness, the steering, the turn in, it was all just 2 levels more sharp and direct and just involving. But please do not get me wrong, the STO is a hardcore weapon. So we need to compare this to its rivals, you know, the McLarens, the Ferrari, and then this is the best out there. I think the gearbox is a 10, the engine is a 10. I really like this car. For me, this would be the supercar I would buy in its segment if it weren't for that STO masterpiece. And what a lovely road. It's like the mayor of Sardinia decided to make this road for this event, because All the other roads in Sardinia are just super busy and quite bad actually, and then I found this little gem, and I can do this all day. I mean, anyone could. And what have we learned? Well, if you're looking for a Huracan with all the new electronics, you don't need four-wheel drive. This is not a car that will surprise you, you know. It won't bite you in the ass, and you would expect it to. 640 horsepower just on the rear wheels and with the aggression of the Huracan, but it's really well managed by that LDVI system by Lambo, because even in Corsa mode, it's like in ESC Corsa and stuff like that, but I can still feel the car managing me through the corners, and it's just an awesome experience. And thank you so much to Lamborghini for inviting us here, and I really hope me and Sardinia will meet again. So if you like this video, go check out this one, go check out the POV reviews playlist and subscribe to the channel. Bye guys.